Alright, so this is my review of the Vevor 2x82 inch belt grinder. This is actually the second video I had to make because I was just clearly way too angry in the first video, and I decided to wait until I was calmed down enough to do a video again. As it sits, I am not able to use this belt grinder at all. The belt won't track properly. It's consistently off. Now this little thing is adjustable, but these are not. And it seems like there's a little bit of a cant in them. I don't like the way this table is kind of way over here. It seems like it should be a little more centered. I looked at the instructions real well to make sure I was doing everything correctly, and I have. This here is just nonsense. And I've had the suspicion that Vevor is sending content creators on YouTube better machines to review, and then this is the garbage they're sending out. There is a video, and it's on their exact web page for this machine, which I bought from that page, and the video was showing a very well put together machine. What I mean by that is most of these machines are not just put together with crappy tube. They're pieced together with flat pieces of metal that are either bolted or welded together so that it snugs up against this square stock, you know, perfectly, and you don't have any slop. So if I undo these, which I don't want to do right now, this thing will just slop around and move around. That's just ridiculous, first of all. The second issue I had has been all wrapped up around this little monstrosity here, which is also different on the other 2x82 machines I've seen on YouTube. This appears to be some sort of add-on. When you look at this whole plate here is bolted onto this narrow little surface, and then there's belt tension. You know, this is a compressed spring type pneumatic cylinder of sorts, and it holds the tension on the belt, so you gotta push this down to get the belt on. So there's a lot of tension on this, and if you notice, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a slight cant to it. And originally this had these needle bearings in here, and these were squished more towards the tension end than that other end. And these needle bearings are a problem because your adjustment on this wheel is this way. That's how they track, which I think is wrong. And so what are we going to get from these needle bearings? We're just going to get a little tiny bit. It's not, you know, these needle bearings want to do this. They don't want to sit here and do this. And with all that tension, what's going to happen is eventually those bearings are going to eat into the these cheap washers here. And if you look, they already have. So you can see that pretty clearly. That's because the washer's garbage. It's not hardened steel that these roller bearings are rolling against. It's a stupid cheap washer, and we're only getting just a little bit of tiny movement instead of a lot of movement. So I went ahead and got some stainless steel, and I machined these out on the lathe, which I will give a sneak peek. I did film some of it, and it removes some of the cant, but not all of it. Then if you look at how much that sticks out and is unsupported. So just to be clear, these are not different sizes. They're machined to the same width and inner diameter, and they're machined to the thickness of this sandwich. So whatever thickness this is, that's what I made it to. Now, and this tracks and moves, no problem at all. But there's still a cant. Another issue with this plate was the threads that this bolt threads into, the threads that were put into this plate. There was a lot of mushrooming in there, and that contributed to this being way off. So I took a deburring tool and I removed the mushrooming, but this plate is still not perfect. It's not flat. There's some issues with that. There's a pin in here that this bolt goes through and that this sits over, and that pin is free floating, and that I think is where this problem is lying at. First of all, this plate's not large enough. It should be big enough to completely come out and encompass that washer to support it, and then that bushing that they made should be pressed into this and welded so that it's straight and it's not going to move, and then this piece slides over, and then you put your washers on, slide it over, and then tighten it down, and then that pin would hold it straight, and then that would take the stress off of these here. And I think a lot of the reason why we're having that cant in there, aside from the metal not being straight, is some of that hangover there. So this is a big issue. The other problem, again, in dealing with trying to get this to track, I went through it, I thought of everything, and I went through the book several times, and I thought, okay, now that we've dealt with this, and this is not adjustable, there's no, this just bolts right in, and that's a problem too. That's very narrow, and so that's why I think they've included that brace, which is a sham at best. But this motor is all the way back. There's no more travel for this to go back. It's all the way at its end. And I've been playing with this because I wanted to make sure this motor is lined up with this. These two pieces have to be lined up or this is not going to track right. So I wanted to make sure that this was lined up properly, that the motor was lined up this way, and all that was perfect. And I've been checking it with a little straight edge here. So once all that was done, I'm still not tracking right. So I got some washers and I took this off. You can see I put a washer in there. I didn't do this bottom one yet, but beyond one washer, we're sticking this out too much. And we're depending on washers to support this, and that's not the way this should be. You can get away with one washer. Anything more than one, I just don't want to do. So we still have a problem, and I think part of the problem is, one, that, two, the motor, the adjustability of these two not meshing right. And then this is kind of canted in as well a little bit, and I don't know if you'll be able to see that with this or not. I don't know how to correct that. All of these things combined have left me with a machine that I completely can't use. And the problem with this is that, one, this plate's adjustable, this thing here, so that's not a problem, but these aren't. What's going to happen here is that this part of the belt is going to wind up wearing out and coming undone. Okay, now I can run this. Let me just show you here. Okay, so you can see we're lined up there, and we're lined up there. This is where we're at here. Now, if I adjust this, I can get this adjusted to where we're tracking right there, but then look, we're off there. So why is that a problem? same reason. If I fix the track here, now I'm off track here, and this is not adjustable. You know, if I could adjust this and pull this in a little bit, that would fix the problem. If I leave it hang like this, the same thing's going to happen. This belt's going to come apart on this end, and I've got $120 worth of belts here from Red Abrasives, and I'm not going to destroy those belts because of that. I paid nearly $800 for this machine. It should have left the factory in perfect working order. None of this should have happened, okay? Now, the plate down here is also bent like so. So it's got a little bit of a rock, which you can't see in the camera. I mean, this whole adjustment mechanism is just wonky. I don't know where they came up with that. Typically on these, the belt alignment, these turn this way, not this way, but whatever. So I'm probably going to have to make a new plate, and a plate that will support the rest of that, but a plate that'll be adjustable. And I'm probably going to have to take that motor off, mill out those slots so I can get a little more adjustment, or I have to take that pulley off and machine some of that hub away. And there's only so much hub I can machine away before I can't tighten that down anymore. So I'm hesitant to do any machining on this. Okay, so I mean, I don't know what to think about the quality of this. And of course, these do not fit in here properly. They won't fit in, neither one of them. They won't fit in. This wheel, mind you, this is a brand new machine. See those nicks? This is the way I got this from Vevor. So my question is, what isn't wrong with this machine? Because it seems like everything is. Now, I haven't even hooked this wheel up to run it yet because of this tracking problem. And like I already mentioned, this thing is way off to the side. It should be centered on here, so I don't know what they're thinking with this. Now, the VFD, there's no on and off switch. So I had to buy a nearly $20 30 amp heavy duty plug or light switch here to turn that on and off. So I had to I brought in 240. So there's 120 going to here and stopping, and then there's 120 continuing over to there, which is live all the time. So I can flip the switch. There's a slight delay because there's capacitors in there holding a charge, and then it shuts off. Okay, and then I flip the switch, and then it turns on. Other YouTubers have mentioned that this is a problem because it's intaking air and it's going to get dust in there, and I've seen a lot of complaints online that these things burn out relatively quick. People have to buy another one, and that Vevor customer service is nearly impossible to deal with. What's new? What's the prognosis here? What do you think Vevor is going to say about all this? They're just gonna tell me to send it back? I mean, I destroyed their stupid box getting this out. How am I gonna send it back? Are they gonna pay me $30 to gas up my van, and then how many hours out of my day to take this wherever it needs to go to be sent back to them? And then how many weeks am I gonna wait before I get a working machine? I bought this 2 weeks ago. I'm ready to use it now, not in some future date when Vevor decides it's good for them. And the thing that's really torquing me here is that I know that they're sending these content creators nice machines. Some of these content creators, like Walter Sorrell, Vevor keeps sending them stuff, and they're not really critically tearing into these machines. And again, like I said, Vevor's sending them decent machines though as well, but at the same time, Walter Sorrell isn't going to say the things I'm saying because Vevor won't send him free stuff anymore. I'm a disabled veteran. I've got severe PTSD. I had to buy my house I'm right across the street from the VA hospital. I can literally walk out my house and walk across the street and I'm at the VA hospital. That's how close I am. It's serious. It's not a joke. It might be, 4 letters to you, but it's a life-altering thing to me. I'm on a fixed income. It's taken 6 years to outfit this shop. It's a little bit of a mess right now, I'm sorry, but I don't have a lot of money. And I've needed this for a long time. And I am desperate to have this now because I'm ready to start production on some of my kitchen gadgets, and I'm depending on this machine and those belts for the final finishing, and I can't use it. So I don't know what the deal is, but I'm sure we're at an impasse. It seems to me, and I already know this because I've already checked, Vevor has a very high return rate. I get these are budget machines, but that's not an excuse to sell something for nearly $800 that I completely can't use and have to fuss over so much. I mean, I have been at this for 4 whole days, full days, 8 to 10 hours. I'm not kidding you. If they have such a high return rate, that seems to me like they're taking a pretty big loss on these junky machines being returned to them. Why not just invest that loss into fixing a few of the issues here, like this, like the motor, like the bent frickin' base plate, making sure all the stuff is good and making sure that it doesn't leave the factory, tracking wrong, and making sure that you're not sending stuff out all damaged. Have a lesser return rate and a better quality machine. I mean, this is like I bought this off of Craigslist. Like it's been in someone's garage for 5 years. Why is it okay for Vevor to sell me this? Is it okay if I, tell Vevor, hey, I'm just going to give you $200 for this. So here's $200. Now send me the machine. What do you think Vevor is going to do? Are they going to be, okay, it's on its way. There you go. Yeah, no, they're going to laugh at me. They're going to take the full $750 or whatever they sell these for. Or they're not going to send this to me. But I'm getting a machine I can't use and this. That's dishonest. That's scamming people. It's ripping people off. I'm the one footing the bill. This is dishonest, Vevor. I don't have any more money to invest, and I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs wondering when am I going to finally be in production. I was supposed to be in production last year, and the tariffs that Trump passed, that was my stock that one of my products was going to be made of. That piece of aluminum cost me $400. Okay, that's a 6-foot stick of 6-inch diameter, half-inch wall aluminum. That stick right now is now $900 thanks to Trump's tariffs. So that pretty much ended me going into production last year on this. That's my review. I'm not happy. I'm sure I'm leaving something out too. I don't know what.